morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the 10-minute morning. It is November the 10th, 2021. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Another nice week we had so far, this weather this week. Welcome to the 10-minute morning, brought to you this week by Enbridge. Enbridge vision is to be the leading energy delivery company in North America. We deliver the energy people need and want to heat their homes, to keep their lights on, to keep them mobile and connected. We operate across North America, fueling the economy and people's quality of life. We move about 25% of the crude oil produced in North America. We transport nearly 20% of the natural gas consumed in the U.S. And we operate North America's third largest natural gas utility by customer count. Right on. Also brought to you by Beachside Burgers. Burgers are better at the beach. Alrighty. Welcome. Ryder picked the score. It's up there. The Riders playing Saturday. Please get your entries in. The more entries there is, the better. After you put your score in, if you could like that post and share it amongst your friends so we can get more and more people on. This week we have a beautiful barbecue set donated by Enbridge. Right, so, and of course the championship ring. All right, found a poppy today. Went to the Remembrance Day ceremony yesterday at the school. I thought they did an excellent job. Yeah. Anyway, I'm getting older. I'm having a little trouble reading, but I found another passage I'd like to say with you. This is from David Cochran from Arborfield and married a girl from Nipawin. Our boat was the platoon commander, his Batman, 4 and 6 section, the 2 in the mortar crew, and the anti-tank rifleman. About 400 hours on the 19th of August, we heard some explosions. The flares went up and the machine gun firing tracer bullets all helped to display the fireworks, but that didn't stop us any. The boat spread out and came into battle formation, and in we go with the gunboat on the extreme right, adding its little bit of noise to the rest. The SSR have landed ahead of us at the village of Pourville, and I can see one of their ASLs on its way back from the beach. It must have been hit as it's barely moving along, and there seems to be quite a few wounded on board. The enemy shells are dropping in front and the right of us, so our boat commander heads over towards them just as they quit firing, and his guess was correct. The enemy had switched their range, and sure enough, if we had held a straight course, it would have been right in there. But now they are landing to our left. We are lucky enough to hit the beach unharmed. I think ours was the first Cameron boat on the beach, and we did not waste any time there. We are now under mortar and machine gun fire, so it didn't take us long to scramble over the seawall and get into some place of protection. We move up our left with intending to cross the river at the end of the village, but one good look is enough. The enemy machine guns are trained right on the bridge, as they have lots of barbed wire on the river and held back until all the water is flooded into the gardens around the house. So all told, we are getting a nice reception, and the surprise is on us. Our 3-inch mortars tried to take their positions out, but it was not long until they were taking out themselves with a bomb. Our platoon commander has a conference with his 2 corporals, and we decide to go up the road and on the right and cross the river further up. So we started around the back of the houses up to our hips in water, smashing through hedges, fences, and over walls, but staying clear of the main street. It is under machine gun fire. Before we start up the road, I noticed our second in command of the battalion was in charge, so I guess the colonel was gone west. We make it up the road and get down to a bush, so we move up through the bush and eventually get to the point on the road where the tanks were supposed to meet up with us. But they never got there. We stayed there until about 1100 hours, but could go no further. An order came through us to return to the beach, so we started back down the hill. On getting back to the village, we take up the defensive. A boy got the orders to make for the boat, so I guess we have to get the most of the wounded. What is left of Band C, boy is left to hold the line. Shortly after that, our officers head for the beach, and my Bren gunner, Erickson, gets orders to go down with some of the other Bren gunners and 2-inch mortar men to put up a smoke screen. The last order we get was to hold on, and we would have let us know when the boats come in. It never happened. When the smoke cleared away, the Jerrys had broken in on our left and were taking men prisoners. These were men who had lost their equipment by boats being sunk and trying to swim to the boats. So the Jerrys drove them in front of themselves and came in behind us. So there was no choice left for us but to give in, as all the boats were gone. This is a tough break for all us lads who had certainly done their best, but this is the fate of some of us in war. Now there's an insert here explaining a little more. The Dieppe raid was a disastrous one. Everything could go wrong did. The surprise attack was not a surprise, and the Germans were waiting for them. The beach landing that was supposed to be made in the cover of darkness was delayed until the morning light, which made them literally sitting to ducks. The boats that were there to pick up the soldiers after the battle couldn't make it back to the shores of Dieppe. The fortune of those soldiers sacrificed, leaving the soldiers stranded. Only 210 Canadians returned to England, and a large percentage of those were wounded. 1,946 were captured and became prisoners of the war. 907 Canadians died there on the beaches of Dieppe. Our little band got lined on the road with some without boots and clothing, some wounded but able to walk, and I helped to carry one of our boys on a stretcher. The only scratch I have is a little bit of shrapnel above the right knee. I took that out with my knife before we were disarmed, but it was swollen quite a bit. But it does not hurt so much. So we are marched back inland to a first field dressing station where we meet quite a few more of our boys, and the wounded got some attention here. All the Camerons and SSRs who are taken prisoner are gathered out here, and about 7 p.m. we are marched down to Dieppe to the hospital there. Here we meet up with some of our other units, and they look to be in the same shape as ourselves. At least we get to drink a water here. But I'm not too long here when the Jerrys pick out 20 of us, and we are marched down to the stations to help with the wounded. We were there until 2 a.m. the next morning on this job. And I think that is the hardest task I've ever had to call to do. We were short of stretchers, and it was one hell of a job lifting men off stretchers onto the ground, rolling them back on the stretchers and into boxcars and on the floor again. If any men ever went through hell, it was the wounded men we loaded on that train. When the job was done, we were loaded onto a truck with 2 Jerry's guards and taken about 15 kilometers to a building that is just under construction. This is where the rest of the prisoners had been marched to. I have no words for some of the stuff I've been reading here. What those men, women, families all went through during them times is heartbreaking and crushing. But boy, I'm sure glad they went through it, and I'm glad our side came out on the right way. I learned through my mother yesterday that my Uncle Ernie, who has passed on, he was a prisoner of war, and he was able to escape. And the only reason he was able to escape was he had learned German, so he was able to. He never let anybody know. He didn't even let his side know or anybody know that he could talk German, and he could hear what they were saying, and he was able to escape. Don't know much more than that, but proud that my family was somewhat involved in some of this. And yeah, I don't know. I hope everybody takes some time this week to remember those that have given so much. No show tomorrow as we're on holiday. The most well-deserved holiday of all. Time to get to work. Thanks, everybody.